12 Habits that turn silence into powerful attraction. In the modern world, where noise has become a habit and showing off seems to be the norm, people often mistake that in order to be attractive, they must talk more, do more, and appear everywhere. Social media has become a massive stage where everyone wants to claim the spotlight for themselves. People believe that the louder they are, the easier it is to gain attention. Yet the paradox lies here: the more strategically silent you are, the more self-controlled you become, the stronger your charisma grows. Niccolo Machiavelli, the brilliant political thinker of the Renaissance, once emphasized, true power does not always come from loud declarations, but from the ability to make others speculate, reveal themselves, while you remain silent. Silence, when used correctly, becomes a weapon. It not only protects you from exposing weaknesses but also creates an aura of mystery that others cannot look away from. Those who are attractive in silence are not shy or withdrawn people. They are those who know when to speak, when to stop, when to appear, and when to withdraw. This very sense of control creates an authoritative and magnetic presence. This essay will analyze 12 habits that create silent charisma in the spirit of Machiavelli. These are not just communication tricks on the surface, but living principles that help you train self-control, transform silence into strength, and from there, become irresistible in the eyes of others. 1. The aura of restraint. Human beings naturally desire recognition and want to prove their worth. That's why they often reveal too much, spilling out every thought, bragging about achievements, reacting quickly to every situation. But those who are truly attractive choose the opposite path: restrained. Restrained is not weakness or passivity. It is the power of holding back. When you don't rush to reveal, people grow curious. When you don't compete for attention, others are drawn to you. By withholding, you create an aura of mystery. Imagine a meeting. One person talks endlessly, filling the air with words. Another listens, nods, and only occasionally offers a short but sharp remark. In the end, who leaves a deeper impression? The second person. Why? Because the fewer words, the greater their weight. Machiavelli once said, "He who is too predictable is easily controlled." Through restraint, you become not only attractive but also less vulnerable to exploitation. 2. The composure of controlled stillness. The body also speaks. Many people, when nervous, unconsciously shake their legs, tap their fingers, or glance around repeatedly. These small movements inadvertently betray insecurity. On the other hand, one who is still radiates certainty, trustworthiness, and power. When you enter a room with a slow, steady walk, when you sit upright with relaxed shoulders and steady eyes, others immediately sense the weight of your presence. You don't need to say much, your stillness alone draws attention. In competitive environments, stillness signals inner strength. It shows that you are not being pulled by circumstances, but instead, you are controlling them. Machiavelli would call this the strength of the one who holds command in every subtle motion. 3. The art of pausing before speaking. Most people fear silence in conversation, so they rush to fill the gap with words. But the wise know how to pause before responding. Just a few seconds of silence can turn your words into the center of gravity. This pause serves 3 purposes. First, it makes others feel you are thinking carefully, thus valuing your words more. Second, it creates positive tension. People wait eagerly to hear what you will say. Third, it allows you to control the pace of the exchange. In negotiation, one moment of silence can pressure the other side into revealing more. In romance, measured slowness makes you less predictable and less needy. In everyday communication, it shapes you as calm and authoritative. 4. Eye contact without need. The eyes are the most powerful form of speech without words. But the key here is eye contact without need. This means you look directly, but without attachment. You are not seeking validation through eye contact, you are simply observing, calmly. When your gaze is steady, unflinching, but not clinging, you send a message: I am confident. I don't need your approval. That is true magnetism. In contrast, shifty eyes, constant downward glances, or fixated stares reveal insecurity or excessive desire. Machiavelli would call this the art of looking without needing to be looked back at. 5. The economy of words. Attraction does not come from saying much but from saying little with sharpness. Powerful people are economical with words. They don't over-explain, don't justify endlessly, and don't circle around. They speak only when necessary, and when they do, their words carry weight. The fewer words, the more others have to guess. The more words, the easier it is to expose weakness. Remember, the fewer the words, the higher their value. In meetings, the one who speaks briefly and clearly is remembered longer than the one who rambles. In personal relationships, the quiet one provokes more curiosity. And in politics, silence can sometimes outweigh the longest speech. 6. Strategic indifference. Nothing is more magnetic than someone who is not easily swayed. When you don't overreact to praise, criticism, temptation, or provocation, you send a message: you are independent, hard to control. Machiavelli once said, "The one who holds power is the one not dictated by a circumstance." Strategic indifference is exactly that. You are not emotionless, but you choose your reactions wisely. In love, strategic indifference makes you more desirable. In work, it keeps you out of unnecessary drama. In life, it ensures you always hold the initiative. 7. Silence in conversation, a psychological weapon. Silence is not merely the absence of words, it is a psychological strategy. When you stay silent in a debate, others grow impatient and expose weaknesses. When you remain silent after a question, the other person may overtalk to fill the gap. Silence can apply pressure. It forces others to fill the void. In doing so, you retain control. This is one of the tools Machiavelli valued most, using silence to dominate the space of interaction. 8. Purposeful withdrawal. Attractive people do not always appear. They know how to create scarcity through purposeful withdrawal. They choose moments to step back, to refine themselves, to make their reappearance more valuable. In society, constant presence lowers value. On the contrary, calculated absence increases allure. When you are not easily accessible, others long for you more. Machiavelli once reminded, rarity increases value, even for people. 9. The cold authority of emotional control. Those ruled by emotions are easily manipulated. Those who control their emotions radiate a cold authority. They don't let anger, fear, or desire show on the surface. When you remain composed even in tense situations, others respect you. When you don't explode under provocation, you've already won. When you don't reveal too much emotion, you remain mysterious. This is the charisma of one who governs the inner self. 10. Calculated scarcity. Not only your presence, but your words, smiles, and gestures of care should also carry a sense of scarcity. When everything from you is always available, it loses value. When you ration them, they become precious. For example, a compliment from someone who praises everyone is ordinary. But a compliment from someone who rarely gives one carries immense weight. Machiavelli would say, let your presence become a scarce resource. 11. Firm boundaries. Those who are charismatic in silence know how to set boundaries. They say no firmly, without hesitation. Clear boundaries command respect. When you are too accommodating, you lose value. When you know how to refuse, you become unpredictable and more desirable. Boundaries not only protect you but also reinforce your magnetism. 12. Self-mastery and presence. Ultimately, all the habits above converge into self-mastery and commanding presence. This is the highest point of silent charisma. You don't need to boast, your mere presence is enough to influence. Self-mastery keeps you from being carried away by others. Presence makes you the natural center without effort. This is effortless charisma, the allure that requires no struggle. Machiavelli emphasized, power doesn't just come from grand actions but from small details, from how you control yourself in every moment. The 12 habits of silent charisma are not merely tools to attract others but a path of inner discipline. In a noisy world, the one who knows when to stay silent holds the advantage. In a society where everyone craves attention, the one who knows how to withhold becomes the most desired. Remember, you don't need to speak much to be magnetic. You only need restraint, stillness, control, and self-mastery. Then, your silence will speak volumes. And that very silence will become the most powerful weapon you possess.
Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch more interesting videos.